How does a kid from the southern Norway become one of the greatest goal scorers of all time? Haaland was born in Leeds before moving to Norway at the age of 3 because his father Alfie was playing professionally at Leeds United. They later moved to a small town called Bryn, which was the hometown of his parents. Haaland started playing football at Bryn at the age of 5. He quickly stood out amongst others with his speed and ability to score goals. Erling played for Bryn until the age of 16. Then came Molde, and the man who saw what nobody else did, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Under Solskjaer, something clicked. Erling started converting his raw speed into end product, 20 goals. Norway's breakthrough player of the year. Suddenly, the biggest clubs in Europe were watching. In 2019, Red Bull Salzburg won the race for his signature. And this is where the story stops being promising teenager and starts being something else entirely. 29 goals in 27 games. He scored in each of his first 5 Champions League appearances, the first teenager in the competition's history to do that. Defenders twice his age had no answer for him. Manchester United, RB Leipzig, and Borussia Dortmund all came calling next. Dortmund won, activating his €20 million release clause, a bargain that looks almost comedic in hindsight. His father was clear about why Dortmund was the right move. It wasn't the biggest name, but they promised him the one thing that mattered most: guaranteed playing time. Dortmund even sold their existing first-choice striker just to clear the path for him. He rewarded that faith immediately. On his Bundesliga debut, coming off the bench, he scored a hat-trick in 20 minutes. 86 goals in 89 games followed. The Bundesliga simply couldn't contain him. Then, 2022. Manchester City, €60 million. The family circle complete. His father once played for City too. And what followed wasn't just good, it was historic. A treble in his very first season. 52 goals in all competitions, 36 in the Premier League alone. A new single-season record that had stood untouched for over 3 decades. In his first game against Manchester United, he scored a hat-trick and, with typical dry humor, joked it was down to the quality of the water in Manchester. Since then, the records haven't stopped. Fastest player in Premier League history to 50 goals. Then to 100, already climbing into City's all-time top scorers, closing in on club legend Sergio Aguero. One night in tying the competition's all-time record for goals in one game, a mark that had barely been touched in the tournament's history. His celebration became its own phenomenon too. Arms folded, completely expressionless, nicknamed Ice Cold by fans. It summed up his mentality perfectly. No emotion, no fuss, just the next goal already on his mind. Pep Guardiola, a manager famous whole attacking structure shifted to feed a number 9 who could finish from literally anywhere inside the box. Near post, far post, headers, tap-ins, half volleys, it didn't matter. Multiple golden boots followed, along with a Champions League top scorer award. At an age where most strikers are still adjusting to a new league, Haaland was already being talked about as the most complete finisher of his generation. But strip away the stadium roars and the record books, and Haaland's actual day-to-day life looks nothing like the destroyer defenders see on a Saturday afternoon. He's still with the same partner, Isabel Haugseng Johansson, who he's known since childhood back in Bryn. She actually made the first move, sliding into his DMs after he'd already moved to Germany to play in the Bundesliga. Haaland has joked that she was the one who checked him out, not the other way around. Their idea of a big night in isn't parties or paparazzi. It's Haaland cooking dinner while Isabel games. The two regularly sit down together and play Minecraft, building houses side by side like any other couple. When they're back home in Bryn, their go-to order is takeaway kebab pizza from a local hometown favorite. In December 2024, the couple welcomed their first child, a son. True to form, they've kept his name and face entirely private, shielding him from the spotlight that follows his father everywhere else. And yes, Haaland lives like the superstar he is. A multi-million-pound estate complete with a lake, a pool, stables, and sprawling grounds. But by his own account, the version of him inside that house is almost unrecognizable from the one terrorizing center backs every weekend. Quiet, homebody, cooking dinner, building blocky houses in a video game with the same focus he brings to breaking scoring records. Maybe that's the real secret. Not just the goals, the transfers, or the records, but a player who found a way to stay completely ordinary in a life that stopped being ordinary a long time ago. But if there's one chapter of his career that felt completely different from anything at club level, it was pulling on the Norway shirt. Growing up in Brine, Haaland never once got to watch his own country at a World Cup. Norway missed every single major tournament during his entire lifetime: Euro 2020, the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, Euro 2024. He was there for all of it, watching from the outside, wondering if it would ever happen for him. Then came qualifying for 2026. Haaland scored 16 goals in the campaign alone, 8 more than any other player in Europe, including 2 goals in 2 minutes away in Milan, in the exact match that finally sealed Norway's return to the World Cup after 28 years. Before the squad even left for the tournament, they posed for a send-off photo dressed head to toe in traditional Viking clothing on the banks of a Norwegian fjord. For Haaland, it wasn't just a photo. Just months earlier, he'd spent over $100,000 on a rare surviving 16th century Viking manuscript and donated it to a library in his hometown. Once the tournament actually began, he picked up exactly where his club form left off. 2 goals in his very first World Cup match against Iraq, a crucial goal against Côte d'Ivoire that delivered Norway's first ever World Cup knockout win in their history. His celebration, arms out rowing motion, turned into a viral phenomenon, with fans nicknaming Norway's entire front line the Viking Row. Every match, the same story: Haaland finding the net, Norway advancing further than they ever had before. Eventually, the run came up against England in the quarterfinals, a tie loaded with irony, given Haaland was actually born on English soil and could have represented them instead. Norway, ranked the lowest of all 8 remaining quarterfinalists, gave England every reason to be nervous. But this time the run finally ended. England fought back to win 2-1, closing the book on Norway's fairy tale. Still, for a nation that hadn't seen a World Cup in nearly 3 decades, reaching the quarterfinals for the first time in history wasn't a disappointment. It was history. And Haaland, the boy who'd never once watched his country play on the world's biggest stage, had just given an entire generation of Norwegians a tournament they'll talk about forever. So, there is the story of the Norwegian Goal King. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribe for more football content.